Thanks a lot, Fiona and everybody, UXPA. It's really nice to be here. The place is fantastic. It's really nice. We actually have the same sofas. I thought they were really old, but they are not. But yeah, so my name is Aino Hanttu. I am originally from Finland. I work at Futurice. I'm a service design lead there. What we do, we started out as a software development company almost 17 years ago in Finland. And we've grown from 4 people to almost 350 people right now in 6 different locations here in Europe. And our newest places are Munich and Stockholm, and we have 20 people in London, and our office is the size of this space, basically. One other thing, if I look like a robot, it's because I've just recently started gym, and everything hurts really bad. So I'm like, trying to turn here. Anyway, so what we do is that we try to build things, we try to innovate things, we try to change things for our clients. We're basically an agency that does all of these things. We do everything from building stuff to innovating to designing to changing. Some of the industries we work with are in energy, finance. We work with transportation and hospitality and all this cool stuff that you can work on. But, and also we work with our clients in 3 different levels. So basically, we try to create a culture where innovation happens. And together with our clients, we try to discover and design new things. We also go end-to-end, which is slightly different from design agencies. So we develop all the things that we do, and we scale them, and we sustain the digital services also. But I'm not here to talk about that. Today I'm focusing on this stuff, and this is the part that I really like personally, which is transformation, and it's about it's transformation and how we can make that happen with the help of service design. I will touch base on things like digital, organizational, and cultural transformation, which are all kind of buzzwords. I'm really sorry about that. And why do I do that? Because I think they all go hand in hand, and without one, there is no other. So that's it. And what is transformation? Everybody talks about digital transformation, but what is transformation? It's about going from a current state to a future state, right? That's really easy. That's the simple part of it. Basically, it's digital transformation is a very hot topic right now, and everybody talks about it, and almost every company we work with at Futurice is talking about changing their ways of working. They're talking about increasing their customer satisfaction, go-to-market speed. They talk about customer centricity and how to create better customer journeys. A lot of the companies don't actually know what their customer journeys are. So we try to help them do that. And digital transformation is a lot about that right now. And it's happening in most of the bigger and smaller companies globally. Some have already started. There's been companies like Microsoft and BBVA, the bank, they've done this already. One of the examples is also Kaiser Permanente, which is a US-based health insurer. And why I know this is because I lived in San Francisco and I was a customer of theirs. And they were really good already 4 years ago in doing all these things in digital and the offline and the online and the offline service. So basically, if I would go to the hospital and get my blood exams done, the experience that I would have was really coherent from there to the point where I check my results on my app. And it was really good, and I was very surprised. There's also these rising trends of companies having these labs and internal labs and accelerators to boost their digital transformation faster. And this is because the world is changing, and it's becoming more digital, obviously, and companies need to adjust to that. A few years back already, some of the executives were saying that digital transformation is a matter of survival. And I don't know what the number would be of percentage would be now, because it was 30% back then. but I can assure you it's quite high right now. And some of the people are calling this time that we're living, they're calling it almost like the fourth industrial revolution, but we're already on that. There's also this rise of younger generation coming to workplaces. You might have heard about the millennials that everybody's talking about. And this is affecting quite strongly in the ways we work because they are more digital, they are used to work remotely, and we are all used to work remotely already. And we are more connected than we've ever been before. For these reasons, I want to talk about these key points. Transformation starts with a vision. It starts from the top, and it's about building internal capabilities. Because more and more, the work that we do as service designers is actually about this work that we do. And we can do quite a lot of things within these three things. Imagine these points form kind of like an umbrella of digital transformation. And you can improve basically everything from customer service to product optimization, just doing these three things. But these are also the most difficult things to do, the most difficult things to change. And service design can play a really big role here. With the help of service design, we can tap into really, really complex problems. Because ultimately, service design is about understanding both user and business needs, and it's about balancing between the detail and the big picture, and it's about communicating things in a meaningful way, in a very easy and visual way also. And service designers are really good at that. They know the people, they have empathy, they understand the users, but they also understand the business. And with a lot of companies that I've worked with, a lot of these companies right now, like bigger corporations, are starting to have these core service design teams, which are not very big, but they are starting to have these internal teams that sit in the middle ground between different teams in the organization. And they can connect the dots between different teams and projects that are happening. And they are kind of like these interactive bridges between islands, if you know what I mean. So how do we go from that to that? And how does that transformation umbrella work? So point one, it starts with a vision. So let's say you have a project, you're starting to build a house. You need to have a vision of what you want to build, right? And you're starting to think about this nice little house on the beach that you want to do. And you're crafting that vision in your head. You start to have dreams about what kind of house it will be, what are the kind of things that it will make them more in reality. But then what comes next? You need to have a plan how to build it. Then you need to create a roadmap of execution. And then you have to gather a team of builders to do that, and so on and so on. This same applies to any transformation of a company, of an organization, of a culture. Without a common sense of purpose and a plan, the change just becomes this vague dream. So basically, it's like a dream of that house. It's not yet reality. It doesn't exist in a tangible format. A lot of our clients come to us saying, our clients or the companies, come to us saying they don't know how to create a digital vision, or they might have that already, but they don't know how to go about it. I've facilitated multiple workshops and sessions where this common vision has been seeded. It's kind of like starting to transfer in these sessions. But the vision needs to be brought to life not by only the leadership of a company, but also by the people who are working in the ground level. And the more different perspectives you get early on, the more approachable that vision forms to be. meaning approachable for every employee in the organization. And as designers, as service designers, the work that we can do, or what we can do to help, is to gather these different views, and we can emphasize on the collaboration and the transparency for the people that we work with or we work for. And service design can also work as a kind of like a lens to look at the big picture and also synthesize it to something more easier to grasp, so something more simple and tangible. And this could happen by conducting interviews. We could do shadowing. If you know what that is, you go shadow some person in their daily work. You can conduct a current state analysis. You can create a service blueprint out of what the organization looks like. And you can facilitate workshops with the key people involved. And the end result can be something as simple as this. It's about, why we're doing this, what we're doing, how we're going to do it, who's going to do it. So, talking about who's going to do it. So transformation starts from the top. And out of all the points, I think that this is the most important one. Because the transformation has to have a mandate from the top level. It has to come from the decision makers. I've seen how companies get consultants like myself to work with a small team in an organization and try to create a change in their ways of working and their behavior. Usually the problem is super similar. Sorry for this lazy photo. Usually the problem is really similar. All the companies have the same problem. They go say like, the culture doesn't quite work, the team doesn't really, they don't work together really well, they lack ideas, they are not making decisions quickly enough. And these are all the things that people come saying to us. And then the leadership hopes that the entire organization kind of changes or transforms when this tiny little team starts to work differently. And they hope that, somehow the change will kind of spread across the whole thing, like bees are spreading pollen, but it doesn't really work like that. Another thing I've witnessed is that no matter how much work we make to try to get that small team work together really well, if the leadership doesn't work in the same way, it's a useless job. It's completely useless. It's a waste of everybody's time. It means it's kind of like common sense, If you have a parent who is saying to their child, don't pick your nose, but the parent is picking their nose in front of that child, the child goes like, well, you're picking your nose, I'm going to pick my nose too. So, whatever the leadership does, the people will follow. And even if the organization would be really flat, sometimes now it's really fashionable to have very flat organizations without any hierarchy. Even if the hierarchy would be very flat, the authority of the company still has to lead the way. It doesn't matter who it is. So, the thing is that we can actually change this. We can influence this as service designers. As service designers, we can have a holistic view of the organization. And the first thing that we should always do is to try to change that leadership. We should go to the leadership level and try to transform that first. And then start to implement all that change into other people in the organization, team by team. And we can train the leaders and the management to do something differently. We can give them ways of working. And we can get them to collaborate more, to use more designerly ways of working, and get them excited first. For example, we do some training programs. We have this thing called Lean Service Creation at Futurice. And it's a methodology to find problems worth of solving and to create products and services in a time, in a shorter time that they would usually do that, from 6 months to 1 week. And the participants, they would envision an idea, they would test it out quickly with customers, with real customers. They would build some kind of iteration of that. They would do a business model around it. Then they would build an MVP plan. And this would all happen in 2 days or in months. And the thing is that they need to actually work with real problems that they are solving in their day-to-day work. That's really important. We've created a toolkit for this. You can download it on leanservicecreation.com if you want to take a look. So transformation is about building internal capabilities. That's the last point. And this is also probably quite an arguable point, but in my opinion, I think especially in digital transformation, it's about building employees' capabilities internally. It's about giving the right tools. It's about showing a way to work in different ways, in new ways. And it's about giving that space to be creative and be a bit crazy and to learn new things in a very comfortable way. And in digital transformation, especially, capability building is about changing the person's mindset. And the most difficult thing to do is to change a person's behavior. So I meet a lot of clients who struggle to build that open and transparent culture that encourages this change and this transformation. And I've noticed that with a lot of big companies, they've been formed out of a culture of consultants or contractors, meaning the culture is really fragmented or there is no culture. There's just people who come there to work from 9 to 5, and they don't really care about the internal activities that build the culture. But this, however, I think is changing quite a lot. I can see a change here. And companies are investing in this capability building and this culture right now. And with these investments, they try to enhance the creative and agile culture because some of the executives have really realized that, digital transformation is a matter of survival right now. You can't have a company without doing something digital. Also, the difficult thing about transforming a culture is that you can't just take another company's culture and put it into your culture. You actually have to craft your own. And how does that then happen? Last year, I was working with a company that had just started this big program of change. They wanted to be more customer-centric. And it was a transformation project where the employees were brought from all over the world to create new digital customer journeys for their customers in just 9 weeks, and that's it. And this happened at the backyard of the headquarters of the company in industrial containers. This was one of our meeting rooms. And these employees came from different backgrounds. They were coming from product marketing, they came from technology background, and they had never done the things that we showed them to do. They had never worked with multidisciplinary teams. They had never interviewed customers. They had never sketched out their ideas very quickly, and they had never ever built a prototype in their life. And we showed them how to do all of that in 9 weeks. And what happened was that it was a very painful journey for them at some points. But then again, they were really happy when they got out of that. They were like, wow, I did not know I could do all these things. And I didn't know I could even draw. And they were like, I don't know, how would I ever survive without working in such a diverse team and without Post-its? And I was just like, okay, cool. So that's what you learned. But yeah, transforming organizations is not an easy task. And the leadership needs to encourage a culture of trial and error. And the employees of the organization needs to feel empowered to make decisions without asking their managers first for their permission. And there has to be good communication and shared vision that everybody believes in. I think as designers, as service designers and as designers, we can take a product design type of process for making this happen. We can treat culture as a product or a service that we're designing. We can ideate, we can concept it, we can do an MVP out of it, and we can test it with real users. And during this journey, we can do all the stuff that we would normally do. We can, interview them, we can create some co-creation workshops, and we can try to understand their workplace needs and their ways of working and what they want outside of work too. A company called Asana has actually done this, and they've gone as far as treating their cultural problems as culture bugs that need to be fixed in a certain time frame. It's just like product development for them. So the key takeaway out of all of this is that remember, if we tackle 3 things in a digital transformation, remember these under this umbrella. So it starts with vision, it starts from the top, and it's about capability building. It has to be encouraged, transformation has to be forced even, and it comes from top down, not the other way around. And organizations begin to change when employees in all levels have a vision and a sense of purpose of what we're doing here and why. And as service designers, we can help that. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Aino? Don't be shy. Hi.
What can someone who's kind of like at the bottom of the food chain do to encourage digital transformation then from the top down?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, so first of all, I do think that it starts from the top level. But if you are at the bottom of the food chain, so to say, what you can do is you can try to give ideas, you can try to push some of the things that you want to do. As I would do, personally, I would do something first and ask for forgiveness later. So maybe you can do that. I don't know if that answers your question. It's a difficult thing to answer, to be honest. Depends of the organization, it depends of the workplace, it depends of the culture and what kind of environment do you have and relationship. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.